This is the early edition, a curated weekday guide to major news and developments over the past 24 hours. Curated by Lizzie Jennings and Emmanuel Desta, and read by an automated voice. Published August 27, 2026, on Just Security, an essential resource for those shaping a just and secure world. Here's today's news. Iran war, : Qatari Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, will visit Tehran today to relaunch diplomacy with Iran. Al Thani will discuss the continuation of Qatar's mediation efforts and other developments in the Middle East, according to Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Esmail Bahai. Yoma Ehab and Parisa Hafizi report for Reuters. A senior Iranian source told Reuters yesterday that an agreement with Oman over the Strait of Hormuz has not been finalized, after Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said the countries had agreed on how to share the waterway and its revenues. The source added that talks were continuing on the details of an accord. Parisa Hafizi and Jana Choker report. The Justice Department plans to activate a Civil War-era maritime war court to streamline the military capture of Iranian oil tankers as U.S. prizes, according to sources. The revival is intended to strengthen the blockade of Iran and offset the cost of the conflict for the United States. Benjamin Penn reports from Bloomberg. Iran war. Other developments. Greek sources have told Reuters today that an air defense system operated by Greek military personnel in Saudi Arabia intercepted a swarm of drones in the Yanbu region, which has major oil refining facilities. It is the third time the Greek-operated system has been used in combat since the Iran war began, Lefteris Papadimos reports. The continued expenditure of U.S. munitions in the Middle East is worrying Asian allies and Pentagon officials overseeing the Indo-Pacific, current and former officials and diplomats told The Washington Post. They fear the prolonged war with Iran could embolden China as it continues to step up military pressure across the region. Kate Cadell, Noah Robertson, and John Hudson report. Israel-Hamas war. Israel over recent weeks has considered expelling British, German, and Italian officials from the International Gaza Support Center in retaliation for criticism of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's policies in Palestine. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar this week announced the expulsion of Dutch representatives after the Netherlands moved to boycott Israeli products from settlements in the occupied West Bank. According to sources, any move to expel additional international representatives from the IGSC would require approval from the Board of Peace, though this was disputed by another source. Neri Zilber, Jim Pickard, and Amy Kaznin report for the Financial Times. Board of Peace High Representative Nikolay Mladenov yesterday criticized Israel for its attacks on Gaza. Addressing the UN Security Council, Mladenov also insisted the 20-point peace plan has moved from the negotiating table to the engineering table. Edith M. Lederer reports for AP News. Russia-Ukraine war. CIA Chief John Ratcliffe's trip to Moscow was to warn Russia against attacking NATO, according to sources, who added that Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania were mentioned in particular. Ratcliffe also used the trip to press Russia to reduce military and economic support for Iran. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov yesterday said that Ratcliffe met with Russian intelligence officials and that Russian President Vladimir Putin was briefed on the talks but not present at them. Trump called the visit semi-routine, and the White House has offered little clarity outside his comments. Lara Seligman, Alexander Ward, and Josh Dawsey report for The Wall Street Journal. John Sekalariades and Danila Cheslow report for Politico. EU countries plan to renew efforts to leverage immobilized Russian sovereign assets to fund Ukraine. According to sources, a letter from a coalition of states to the European Commission will call for a restart of the concept and seek clarity on any progress in alternative legal and technical frameworks that could bypass Belgium's veto of the idea last year. Swedish Foreign Minister Maria Malmer Stenergard said the plan is the fair and smart way to make sure that Ukraine can defend itself and all of Europe. Laura Dubois and Henry Foy report for the Financial Times. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday awarded Elon Musk the Order of Freedom, as the country seeks to expand its use of Starlink terminals for battlefield communications. Ukraine has requested to use Starlink over Russian territory, as it seeks to attack targets including launchers for ballistic missiles. The presidential decree praised Musk for outstanding personal contributions to protecting human life and freedom, and for strengthening ties between Ukraine and the United States. Reuters reports. A Ukrainian strike yesterday hit a bus in the Russian-controlled part of the Luhansk region, killing 9 people, according to Russian-installed Governor Leonid Pasechnik. Reuters could not independently verify the report. Russia attacked Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities with missiles and drones today. The strikes targeted warehouses, ports, and energy and industrial facilities, according to Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha. Ukraine managed to down 7 ballistic missiles, 1 anti-ship cruise missile, and nearly 90% of drones. Dan Pelishuk and Anna Perchnika report for Reuters. Russia's 4th largest oil refinery and 2nd largest gasoline producer, Norsy, suspended crude oil processing yesterday after a Ukrainian drone attack. The facility was damaged, according to Nizhny Novgorod's local governor, Gleb Nikitin. Other global developments. Malaysia's former Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob was today charged with failure to declare assets. Yaakob is the 3rd former premier prosecuted in recent years over alleged graft-related offenses, Reuters reports. Nigeria's SBM intelligence yesterday reported that Nigerian kidnappers have collected nearly $5.8 million in ransom payments in the last year. The study also found that the crime is crippling education and eroding public trust in the government. Ben Ezemalu reports for Reuters. The World Health Organization yesterday said that the outbreak of Ebola in Uganda has ended, but is not under control in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Director of Emergency Preparedness for the WHO African region, Dr. Marie-Rosalind Belazer, said that while acceleration of transmission in the DRC has slowed, it has not begun to decline. Jennifer Rigby reports for Reuters. Tech developments. Meta yesterday reached a landmark settlement with 47 states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories to pay up to $17.1 billion. The suit will also force Meta to implement screen time restrictions, such as during school hours, though this can be overridden with parental approval. Teen accounts will also come with default pauses on notifications during school hours and overnight, from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Cecilia Kang and Eli Tan report for the New York Times. Miriam Waldvogel reports for the Washington Post. An independent review by 2 AI safety organizations, published yesterday, found that the cyber attack launched by OpenAI models last month involved a swarm of several hundred AI agents that had effectively gone rogue. The agents conspired together to hack into another AI company's systems. John Sakalariades reports for Politico. Garrett DeVink reports for the Washington Post. U.S. Foreign Affairs. The Justice Department yesterday announced that Chinese hackers had carried out a string of hacks over the past year, targeting federal agencies and hospitals. Most of the attacks were linked to a Chinese state-sponsored group known as QTFY. Many of the breaches were carried out to gain and maintain access to critical U.S. networks, according to the advisory. Maggie Miller reports for Politico. The State Department yesterday designated Palestine Action, Masar Badil, and Audis DC Inventati, AI Collective, as transnational terrorist organizations. The move is part of the Trump administration's fight against what it calls a resurgence of far-left political terrorism. and will mean that any assets in the United States owned by the groups will be frozen, and Americans will be blocked from doing business or donating to them. Michael Crowley reports for the New York Times. Connor Stringer reports for Politico. A Pentagon review of U.S. troop deployments in Europe will create at least 4 sets of options for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth by November 6, according to a document seen by Reuters. A senior Pentagon official said the fact that a spectrum of options would be generated in detail underscored the seriousness of the process. Phil Stewart reports. Pentagon officials have uncovered classified documents that were hidden away in a safe where they would not be found, and shed new light on the end of the U.S. war in Afghanistan, Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said yesterday. Parnell added, after the team reviewed these documents, it became clear why someone tried to hide them, but did not offer details about what they found. Leo Shane III reports for Politico. U.S. immigration developments. A federal judge yesterday ruled that Minnesota had not proven that Governor Greg Abbott, TXR, had done anything wrong by waiting to act on the extradition request. The ruling means Christian Castro could be released from jail today. Ernesto Londono and Mitch Smith report for the New York Times. U.S. domestic developments. A U.S. military judge has provisionally set June 5, 2028, for the trial of 4 men accused of conspiring in the terrorist attacks in New York on September 11, 2001, according to an order issued yesterday. Colonel Michael Shrema is the 5th judge to serve in this version of the case, which started with arraignment on May 5, 2012. Only one previous judge had set a provisional trial start date because of the complexity of pretrial issues confronting the court. Carol Rosenberg reports for the New York Times. 3 Secret Service officials have been placed on leave pending an investigation into potential misconduct, including Secret Service Communications Director Anthony Guglielmi, 2 sources told NBC News yesterday. The Secret Service has not provided further information on the reason for the investigation. Kelly O'Donnell, Tom Winter, and Raquel Coronel Uribe report. Dr. Adam Kalkstein filed a lawsuit against West Point this week, accusing the U.S. military academy of violating his First Amendment rights by forbidding him from teaching about human-driven climate change. Kalkstein's lawyer said his client is a conservative Republican who believes the military needs to be taught the true cause of climate change when it comes to national security. Michael C. Bender and Greg Jaffe report for the New York Times. The House Oversight Committee yesterday released a transcript of its questioning of former J.P. Morgan and Barclays executive Jez Staley last month about his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Staley testified that he visited Epstein's island multiple times and had consensual sex with one of Epstein's assistants. He acknowledged that J.P. Morgan suspected Epstein of sex trafficking by 2011 and maintained that he discussed Epstein with CEO Jamie Dimon, a claim Dimon and J.P. Morgan deny. Trump administration actions. Hegseth is considering Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell to succeed Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, 2 sources told The Hill. Driscoll is looking to depart his role around the end of the year due to ongoing tensions with Hegseth, The Hill reported last week. Philip Timothea reports. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. yesterday suggested that an aide to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, D., may have fabricated the 2 deaths from measles announced on Tuesday, adding that Shapiro's office was unwilling to provide the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention any details about the deaths. Arik Sarkisian and Carmen Powen report for Politico. Trump administration litigation. A federal judge yesterday lifted a nationwide block on mail-in voting restrictions, temporarily clearing the way for the Trump administration to implement them ahead of the November midterms. In sum, the court finds that in light of the Supreme Court's decision in Trump v. California, plaintiff organizations are not likely to prevail as to ripeness without amending their complaint to reflect the fact that a final rule has now issued, the judge wrote. The case was brought by the League of Women Voters of Massachusetts and other voting rights groups, which are seeking another block now that the U.S. Postal Service has finalized its rule. In case you missed it, yesterday on Just Security. States Can Fight Federal Overreach by Protecting State Data by Stephen J. Kochevar. Experts declare international law principles supporting women's resistance to gender apartheid by Hannah Gary, Karima Benoun, Zarqa Yaftali, and Zubaida Akbar. Domestic and Regional Pressures Strain Ethiopia's Fragile Peace by Leslie Ann Warner. Thank you for listening to Just Security's early edition today, August 27, 2026. If you enjoy listening, Just Security's analytic articles are also available in audio form on the justsecurity.org website. To stay up to date on Just Security's analysis of law, policy, and current events, go to justsecurity.org. Subscribe to Just Security on Substack, and follow us on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.